Imagine a world unlike any we know, a world without borders, a world with one government, a world where individuality is surrendered to a collective. Is this the future we face, a future subtly orchestrated by forces hidden in plain sight? For decades, whispers of a new world order have echoed through the corridors of power. What was once dismissed as mere conspiracy theory is now becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The pieces are falling into place, pointing towards a future where individual liberty could be sacrificed at the altar of global control. This is not about fear-mongering. This is about facing a truth many find uncomfortable. The truth is, powerful forces are at work, shaping a future that may not align with the freedoms we hold dear. The question is, will we stand by and watch as our world is transformed without our consent? The New World Order is not a recent invention. It is an idea, a vision that has been nurtured for centuries by those who believe they know what's best for humanity. It is a vision of centralized power, where national sovereignty is dissolved and a single global entity dictates the lives of billions. This global entity, often envisioned as a one-world government, would hold unprecedented power. It would control the world's resources, its economies and its people. Individual nations would be stripped of their autonomy, forced to comply with the dictates of this new world authority. But the New World Order is not simply about political control. It runs deeper than that. It seeks to engineer a fundamental shift in human consciousness, molding us into compliant citizens of a global collective. The potential dangers of such a system are immense. At the forefront is the erosion of individual freedom, the very cornerstone of a just and equitable society. Under a global government, the rights we often take for granted, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, could be swept aside. Imagine a world where dissenting voices are silenced, where questioning the narrative is met with swift and brutal reprisal. This is not the stuff of dystopian fiction, it is the very real threat posed by a system that brooks no opposition. The consolidation of power into the hands of a few inevitably leads to tyranny. History is replete with examples of unchecked authority metastasizing into oppression. From the Roman Empire to the Soviet Union, centralized control has consistently proven to be a recipe for disaster, eroding individual liberties and crushing the human spirit. The desire for global domination is not new. It is a recurring theme throughout history, from the ancient empires that sought to expand their reach to the totalitarian regimes of the 20th century. The lust for power has been a constant. The Roman Empire, with its vast legions and insatiable appetite for conquest, offers a chilling example of centralized control. While Rome brought order to much of the ancient world, it did so at the expense of individual freedom. Dissent was crushed, and those who dared to challenge the emperor's authority were met with swift and brutal retribution. In more recent times, the rise of Nazi Germany stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. Hitler's Third Reich, fueled by a toxic ideology of racial superiority and national dominance, plunged the world into darkness. These historical examples serve as a cautionary tale, reminding us that the thirst for power is a dangerous and seductive force. It is a force that, if left unchecked, can lead to unimaginable horrors. The Web Titans architects of the New Order. Who are the architects of this New World Order? They are not shadowy figures lurking in the shadows, but rather individuals and organizations operating in plain sight. They are the global elite, the power brokers of finance, industry and politics, who believe they have the right to shape the destiny of humanity. Organizations like the United Nations, the World Economic Forum and the Trilateral Commission have long been accused of promoting a globalist agenda. These organizations wield considerable influence on the world stage, shaping policy and steering the direction of global affairs. Their stated goals often sound benevolent, promoting peace, cooperation and sustainable development. However, critics argue that these seemingly noble objectives mask a more sinister agenda, the creation of a borderless world governed by unelected technocrats. A world of compliance, the dangers of a single voice. In a world governed by a single entity, dissent becomes increasingly difficult. The media, controlled by a select few, would act as a mouthpiece for the ruling elite, shaping narratives and molding public opinion. Independent thought would be stifled, replaced by a carefully curated consensus. The education system, too, would be co-opted, churning out generations of compliant citizens indoctrinated with the virtues of global citizenship and the evils of nationalism. Critical thinking would be discouraged, replaced by rote learning and blind obedience. Imagine a world where questioning the official narrative is met with censorship, ridicule, and even persecution. This is not a world of freedom. It is a world of control, where the human spirit is crushed under the weight of conformity. Awakening to the threat, the power of knowledge. The first step in combating this insidious agenda is awareness. We must educate ourselves and others about the dangers of unchecked globalization and the erosion of national sovereignty. We must be willing to challenge the pronouncements of the mainstream media and think critically about the information we are being fed. The internet has proven to be a powerful tool for disseminating information and connecting like-minded individuals. However, we must be vigilant in discerning truth from falsehood, as the internet is also rife with misinformation and propaganda. We must engage in open and honest dialogue with our friends, families, and communities. We must raise awareness about the threats to our freedom and encourage others to join the fight to preserve our liberties. Defending our birthright, a call to action. Our freedoms are not gifts from the government, they are our birthright. It is our duty to safeguard these freedoms for ourselves and for future generations. We must resist any attempt to erode our sovereignty or strip us of our individual liberties. This is not a time for complacency or apathy. It is a time for action. We must hold our elected officials accountable, demanding that they represent our interests, not the interests of global corporations or unelected bureaucrats. The future of our world hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine whether we succumb to tyranny or rise up to defend our freedom. Let us choose wisely. Let us choose freedom.